stop waiting for the Moshiach. He already came. It was Lord Balfour. Anti-Zionist Jews like Neturei Karta like to say that it says in the Torah that there can't be a state of Israel unless the Moshiach comes. It doesn't say anything like that in the Torah, but it does say in the prophets about a Moshiach. But the Moshiach that they talk about is not necessarily the person that we think is going to come. The person that's going to come down magically from the sky and have world peace and bring everybody together and then everybody come to the land and build a temple. There's no precedent of that ever happening, but what has happened is in the book of Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 45 verse 1 specifies King Cyrus of Persia as being the anointed one. The Moshiach will conquer the Babylonians, who were oppressing the Jews and sent them into exile, and let them come back to the land and build the temple. Under the first exile, no Moshiach was coming down from the sky, so why do you think that has to happen now when it didn't happen before? Lord Balfour is the modern-day King Cyrus. What happened in current times with the state of Israel? The British conquered the Ottomans and then allowed the Jews to come back to their land. Lord Balfour made a decree in 1917, the Balfour Declaration, to allow the Jews to come back to their land just as Cyrus decreed that the Jews could come back to their land. So if you're looking for the Moshiach already came. It was Lord Balfour. Lord Balfour was Cyrus, the one to allow the Jews to come back to their land. So I don't understand. There was a big thing when Trump was president that all these rabbis and Jewish religious people wanted to compare Trump to Cyrus and thought Trump was going to somehow allow us to build the temple. When that's ridiculous. It makes no sense. King Cyrus had sovereignty over the land. That's why he was able to permit us to go back into the land. So unless Trump is president again, or the United States is going to invade the West Bank and conquer the Arabs for us, and then have sovereignty over the land, and then give us the right to build the temple, then the United States or Trump would be Cyrus. But Israel now has sovereignty over the land. Israel technically has sovereignty over the Temple Mount. We can do with it whatever we want. We choose not to do anything. We had the choice in 1967 to build a temple. We chose not to. Nobody wanted it. But the same thing happened at the end of the first exile. The temple was started but then had to stop because of fighting with the local inhabitants. It wasn't completed until like 20 years later. So what happened now is we didn't have control over the Temple Mount. We were fighting with our Arab neighbors, and it wasn't until 20 years later in 1967 that we were able to control the Temple Mount. So it could have happened then. It could have happened, but because nobody wanted it, not even the religious Jews wanted it, we didn't get it. We still don't have it. So now we're in a situation where it has to happen again. Something has to happen. A war has to happen for us to reconquer the Temple Mount, to be able to build a temple. So this is our fault. But the Moshiach already came. It was Lord Balfour.